I've been putting up more videos on my YouTube channel, and I want to get into more detailed, deep discussions about birth, not just little tips, tricks, like not just the cute little discussions about birth, but like the real meat of the conversation. And so this week I was looking into pushing and the pushing stage. I made a video about tearing, and a couple people commented that they want to talk about pushing, and I was like, okay, cool, time to go down the rabbit hole and do lots of research, because I want to make sure everything that I share with y'all is thorough. And when I started my research, I already knew a lot about pushing, the pushing stage, and I already had this answer in my mind of like, this is something that we really, I emailed you. Okay, I'll check it today. I've been super busy, but I'll check it today. Paris in the city. This is something that I already kind of knew, like, we don't need to be pulling the legs up in the lithotomy position on our back, you know, holding our breath, like pushing babies out. I knew this from just things I've learned previously. I knew this from my own births, but I knew this from just my intuition, my gut, like my inner knowing, I guess you can call it. And so I'm doing my research, and of course I come across the truth about pushing, you know, which I'm gonna get into detail in my YouTube video. But you know, essentially it started in the 1920s because of fear. People were afraid of the length of labor. People were afraid of babies being squeezed through the vaginal canal. And so, you know, one of the things that we started to implement was trying to speed up labor. Your magic wand? I think it's downstairs. And so because, you know, doctors didn't feel like birth in general wasn't safe, but especially the stage of the baby coming out, they're telling people like, we gotta push this baby out and get it out as quickly as possible, which it's so counterintuitive. Again, I always talk about sex and birth, they're like best friends. It's like trying to force someone to like have an orgasm. It's trying to say like, we need to have this orgasm right now as quickly as possible, because this is so dangerous, and if you don't have this orgasm right now, this is gonna be really a problem, right? When we put it in the context of sex, it's like, okay, that's absurd, that's ridiculous. How can you force someone to have an orgasm? Because it doesn't make sense, right? But we're talking about the same body parts, the same neuroendocrine relationship, the same hormones, the same, well, I would say similar stimulation of certain areas of the body, right? And yet we have this total paradigm shift when it comes to allowing people to follow the instinct of their body instead of being directed. And I was just soaking in all this information. Like I said, I was diving deep, and I was like, I can't even contain this. I just feel so like I'm bubbling over with emotions about this, because first of all, if you frequent hospital births, you know that before a person begins to push, 9 times out of 10, someone wants to check them. So the doctor or the nurse is going to say, if they hear someone pushing, if they hear someone starting to go like, which is like a sound people make when they push, they'll go, oh, do you feel like you have to push? Okay, let's go get the doctor. Hold on, right? So we put the whole shebang on hold in order to get the doctor. And it's like, okay, we came here to have a baby. Now we're waiting for the doctor to show up. It's so backwards, right? And so then the doctor has to confirm that you're 10 centimeters before you're allowed to start pushing. Even that sentence, see, let me back up and say, most doulas when we get trained, we're trained to have this certain level of respect and reverence for the medical community. We're trained to not overstep our boundaries, stay in our scope of practice, don't, try to challenge anyone, right? But at the same time, we're supposed to be advocates. We're already splitting hairs as far as what we should and shouldn't be doing, right? Anyways, doulas get this treatment like, stay in your lane, don't talk too much, don't say too much, hip squeeze, rub the back, spray the essential oils, that's it, right? And there's this idea that we really shouldn't be questioning, we're just there to support the mother. But my issue with this is that me supporting you through something that I know is medically dangerous, not evidence-based, all that jazz, it's not real support. It's artificial support. It's fake support. Me rubbing your back and holding your hand and saying you can do it and encouraging you, yeah, push, but it's BS. And I've held my tongue on this because I use social media to get clients. I use social media to build up a name for myself, and I use social media because I want to spread education and spread knowledge so people can be liberated through their birth experiences instead of traumatized, right? And for a long time, I tiptoed around saying certain things because I was like, okay, I don't want to mess up my, image or what people think of me or whatever, right? But we almost have this church state energy when it comes to hospitals. It's like almost like a religious thing, like, oh, you can't question this, you can't ask about that, you have to be respectful, and this is the way it is, and it's right because the doctor says so. And I can't tell you how many folks say to me, well, I wanted to do X, Y, and Z, but my doctor said that's not safe. Or my doctor said that's pointless. Or my doctor said I shouldn't do that. And instead of using our brains to freely think and freely explore the vast ocean of information that we have, we say no. I'm going to listen to this one individual, this one opinion, and I won't question it. And that to me looks, feels, tastes, smells, everything like a religion and nothing like what true birth support should look like. And so I'm going down the rabbit hole, reading about pushing, reading about how in the 1920s we started telling women to push because we literally feared that the pushing stage was dangerous, and we didn't understand that there were actual health benefits for a baby to pass down through the canal and be squeezed, right? Because it's actually good. The design of birth is perfect, right? But the doctors feared that. And I'm going to emphasize that it was the male European doctors who did not come from a lineage of midwifery. They did not come from a lineage of birthing babies themselves because they're men. They did not come from a lineage of trusting the innate, most ancient, most perfect technology. People don't understand. We think that technology is going to save us in birth. We are the technology. We are the original technology. The way that your blood pumps through your veins, the way that your cells communicate with one another, the way that the messages in your brain fire and wire and respond to the rest of that is technology. We have no computer that can replicate the advanced technology of our own body. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. But yet we have extracted our own personal power and handed it over to a very new age. You want to talk about trust? I mean, you know how long midwifery has existed? Since the beginning of time. You know how long obstetrics has existed? The 1700s, roughly. Maybe some would say the 1800s. Right? Not only that, but the whole practice of obstetrics was built on two things: curiosity and fear. One, men were never allowed into the birth space, so what they did is they said, okay, well, how can we see this magical thing that's happening, right? Well, we say that we're smarter and we're wiser and that we have these tools that you need in order to have a safer birth. And so that's how we get in to see what's happening. And then once we get in there, we just kind of tinker around and experiment. And I'm not saying that people have, I'm not saying that every single doctor from the 1800s up until 2019 was not having a reverence for birth, or that they didn't genuinely want to help women. I'm not saying that, but what I am saying is that they definitely took advantage of fearing women out of trusting their own bodies, right? So anyways, pushing like on your back with your feet up, all of that didn't start until the 1920s because of fear. And now we have the research to show us that pushing your baby out in the lithotomy position, which is on your back, is not only unnecessary, but it can cause issues. It can cause more damage than it can actually fix, right? So, you know, just be aware. Just give yourself an opportunity to question why things are the way they are, right? I think we assume, there's this assumption. I remember when I was younger hearing people say, well, it's good because we used to die in childbirth. You know, childbirth used to be really unsafe. And I don't think people really understand the magnitude that childbirth is still really unsafe. And it's not because of there being something wrong, there being complications, there being variations. It's not because of that. It's because of our manipulation. It's because of the way that we have infiltrated the birth space, monetized it, capitalized off of it, and then turned birthing people into a commodity. Realize that, and I don't want to shame anybody. I'm not here to make you feel bad for choosing the hospital. I'm not here to make you feel bad because you had some sort of birth complication and you had to be in the hospital. I'm not trying to make you feel bad about that. But I want you to know, whether it's good, bad, in between, whether your doctor was great, bad, or somewhere in between, you're a commodity when you enter into the hospital. And when you enter into a business, remember this one thing: the main goal of a business is to make money. They may have ethics, they may have morals, they may have passion, right? But the reason it is a business and not a nonprofit, right? It's not just a free service, is to make money. When you look at midwifery, you have equal energy exchange, you have reparations, you have, you gave me this service and therefore I'm going to give you this, right? And it wasn't always money. You know, it wasn't always paying midwives and money. But when you look at the medical model, and when you look at HMOs and health insurance and how every single thing is billed, your IV, that scissor they use to give you an incision, the needle, the thread, the little gauze, all of that is billed. Someone is making money off of that. And they're only able to make money because they are making money off of you. You are the commodity when it comes to birth. And I want people to understand the magnitude of this. I don't talk about this stuff a lot because I don't want to be cynical or sound mean or anti-medical or angry black person, right? I don't want to be put into that type of a box. But people don't understand. You got to open your eyes. You've got to. 1920 was not that long ago. 1920. Now we have the information to tell us what we decided to do in 1920 does not hold. And it's not being put into practice. I go to births all the time in hospitals. They're telling people to push. They're telling people, close your mouth, bear down, push this baby out, right? Let me tell you a secret. You can give birth while you're asleep. Do you know why you can give birth while you're asleep? Because your body does not need conscious instructions from your brain. Your body, just like your body knows how to cry, sweat, salivate, pee, poop, have a menstrual cycle, shed skin. Your body knows pump your blood. Your body knows how to do all these things without you consciously saying, oh, I should blink now. No, your body doesn't work like that. You have a whole nervous system specifically made for your bodily functions, and it doesn't need any instructions from you consciously. This is why people can give birth while sleeping with no effort, and they wake up and the baby is crowning. It's happened. So to understand that is to understand that if that's the case, if birth is just a way bigger scale version of having a menstrual cycle, then what exactly are we doing in the hospitals, and why exactly are we doing it? And that's when we have to start asking questions about money, business, and power. Because how do you control a group of people? You control what they watch, you know, what they see. You control what they hear. You control what they eat and put in their body. And then you control their actions. You control their belief systems. And if our belief systems are aligned with the idea that we should be afraid of our bodies instead of empowered by our bodies, then we have given away all of our personal power. Where is there to go from there? If we need constant guidance, assistance, and again, I'm not saying that if you have a medical issue or something, don't go to the hospital. I'm not saying that. And I'm not saying that doctors are out to get you or evil or bad. No, most doctors are really passionate about what they do. The problem is that we're doing it wrong. And then on top of that, we are encouraging the medical paradigm to have so much power over us that we don't even, I mean, let me just say this. You know how much time people spend planning a wedding? The dress, the hair, the makeup, the bridesmaids, the grooms, the venue, the food, all that stuff. You know how much time people spend thinking about their birth? Okay, I'm coming. You know how many people walk into a hospital to have a baby, never read a book, never read a blog post, never watched a video, never talked to someone who's had a normal physiological birth, only talk to people who've had traumatic, hospital birth experiences. How is this possible? That one of the most important events of parenthood, we just glaze over it. But things like baby showers, gender reveals, weddings, graduations, homecoming, I could keep going on about all these cultural events that we have that we spend so much time and effort putting in them, trying to make them great. But when it comes to birth, people are literally walking into the hospital and then just saying, Mommy, do what you want with me. You tell me what to do.
Mommy.
Yes.
Do you give me medicine like a circle?
Do you want some medicine like a circle?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I'm almost finished, okay?
Okay.
All right. So anyways, girls are coming in here. I'm going to hop off of here. But like I said, this week I'll be talking about pushing. This week I'll be getting very deep into the history of pushing, why we push, and why we should not be pushing, and why it's not only... Can you stop? You being silly.
I'm gonna take a picture.
Okay, come here. Not only why we shouldn't push, but why it is both physically and psychologically problematic. Not only problematic, but also, this is the last thing I'm going to say. In that moment, we have physically materialized the idea that you're not good enough, your body is not good enough, there is no innate technology here, you need to be told what to do. And in that moment, saying, okay, let me check you first, now let me tell you what to do and how to do all of that negates your personal power and your personal bodily intelligence, because it says you need to be directed. You don't know what you're doing here. Your body doesn't know what it's doing. And at that point, I think we lose what makes us us. We lose our humanity. We lose our autonomy. We lose our so much, right? And again, I used to skate around this stuff because I didn't want people who have hospital births or cesarean births to feel some type of way. But I think we spend too much time thinking about the people who already had birth and not enough time thinking about the people who haven't birthed yet and who are going to get ready to have a baby. And we need to think about those people and how to make those people have a better experience. Because, yeah, we're at this point, you know, I was just flabbergasted last night at all of the things I was reading. And I've seen midwives in hospitals, you know, come in, okay, you know, let's get in this position, push, right? And it's honestly wild to see how far off track we are when it comes to birth. And I'm not gonna stop. You know, for a long time I really felt like I want to have a YouTube page and an Instagram page about birth. That's kind of lame. Who's gonna watch that? Who's gonna look at that stuff? Who really wants to talk about birth? But the more that I look into it, the more that I see that we don't care because we don't know, right? Ignorance is bliss. And so we continue to birth this way because we think it's nothing wrong with it. It's fine. In some ways, we have even, not only have we normalized medicalizing and pathologizing birth, but now we have ritualized it. Now you have people who feel like it is a rite of passage for me to go and be traumatized, for me to be degraded, for me to feel disgusted, for me to be in pain, to have a severe we have ritualized it. This is birth, this is motherhood. We do so much, we're so strong. No. I am not going to keep perpetuating this idea of like, you know, we're so strong, we can do anything, we can go into the hospital and be, you know, traumatized. No. How about we flip it and say, no, we're strong enough where we can do this with very minimal control. We don't need to be controlled. We don't need to be told constantly what to do. It's a difference between guiding someone and governing someone. And I think we are starting to see the difference between the two in birth, but we still have a long way to go. We've got over 90% of births are happening in the hospital, which means over 90% of women are birthing their babies in conditions that are not just unnecessary, but not backed by evidence, not backed by science. And we're so obsessed with science. I go on Facebook and I scroll and I see science says, new research says, new study shows, survey says this. And it's like this obsessive nature with science. And nobody is stopping to think, we are the living science. We are science. Every day that we get up and live, it is science in action. So just wanted to talk to you guys about that today. I will be uploading the YouTube video about pushing sometime this week. If you have any specific questions for me, this is what I wanted to tell y'all. So hold on one second. So my DMs are normally full. Almost finished. My DMs are normally full, and I used to try to answer them pretty frequently because, again, I'm here to help. I want to help folks. But I have relieved myself of that responsibility because it is stressful, and I mean hundreds of DMs, like trying to answer people and then have a conversation. It's just, can you imagine having a conversation with like over 100 people? So if you have a question for me, if you have something that you want me to answer, go to my YouTube channel, put the question under one of my videos, because number one, it's easier for me to see it there. Number two, if I answer it, other people can see it. so they won't have to ask the question twice. And number 3, it's going to help more people see my video, which means more people learning about birth, which means a better society, a better place to live. So if you have a question for me, if you sent me a DM, take it, unless it's super personal, put it on one of my YouTube videos, or go to my Facebook group, Her Holistic Path Sisters. It's linked in my bio here on Instagram. Post it in the group. It's a lot of great people in there who can help, besides just myself. And yeah, I'm gonna go decompress now. Thank you so much. Alrighty, I'll chat with you guys later. Make sure you go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscribe to my channel. I don't really love saying that, but yeah, if you want to know when the video goes up about pushing, go ahead and subscribe, and I will see y'all in the next live. Say bye on me.